So we've got the other half of the Deese directing powerhouse team, Ashley Deese, co-director of Our Blues Makers Gold. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival.
Thank you for having me.
Now, tell us everything that your husband didn't.
Oh. Oh my goodness. Tell you everything that he didn't. What didn't he tell? Honestly, making this film could have been its own documentary, like behind the scenes, the process of making it. Let's just say when we started it, we were not parents. By the end of it, we have 2 boys.
Okay.
And so life was happening while we were also documenting life. So that was really interesting. And I don't know if he mentioned also, we had a huge hiccup in the center of the production, which was global pandemic.
Talk to us
you
about
all
that.
remember that?
Yeah, that thing, that COVID thing that might have happened.
Yeah. That was really scary. It was a scary time. I was very pregnant at the time, so personally scary. But then also, I really want to shout out to my husband, Brandon, who stuck with me on this. We really made sure that we did not compromise on quality during that, because it was very easy during that time in the middle of production. People were like, "Oh, you could just be Zoom, just Zoom it," or "Oh, you don't need that. You don't need to be in person." We're like, "No, this is art. This is something that is going to stand the test of time, and we don't want it to look like something that just was for a certain period of time. We want it to be long lasting, and so we didn't compromise on that. But it wasn't easy.
When you say it wasn't easy, is it the global pandemic that obviously added to it, but the trials and tribulations of an independent filmmaker? What's that life like?
Oh boy. Well, already, the genesis of this project, to even do this project, really came out of being met with opposition. I happened to be in a writer's room, a Hollywood writer's room at the time, and I had pitched for one of the characters that we were introducing to attend an HBCU, because it was talked about, oh, she's intelligent, she's all of these things, and I raised my hand like, oh, yeah, she should go to HBCU. And heads were turning. There were snarky remarks and things that really angered me. And that really is what, set the fire to get this going. I think with being an independent filmmaker, also when you add Black on top of that, you're constantly met with, oh, this isn't valid, or, it doesn't deserve its place. Also, the obvious, when you're doing an independent film project, it doesn't have the same funding, as a major motion picture, backed by Hollywood. So you're dealing with a fraction of the crew size. So you have to be very resourceful. I think it's a good thing in a way. It really exercises our creativity, but at the same time, it's challenging because you're dealing with less resources. And then when you throw a global pandemic in there on top of that, then your resources are even less. So a lot of the film, we actually had to remote produce and direct. Yeah, so I was like literally setting up shots from, I would have someone physically there in that state, and I'm all the way across the country in LA. But we made it work. Yeah, but it wasn't easy for sure.
We've seen the Coen brothers and, now the Wachowski sisters. We've seen directing duos that are either related, but husband and wife. What was that like? Was there ever, friction on set that you left on set, didn't bring home, or friction at home that you brought to set? How did that work?
All of the above, for sure. Brandon and I are both very passionate about what we do. So it is very hard, I'll be honest, to separate, when you go at home, like, why did you pick that shot? I didn't like that shot. I didn't like, that kind of thing. But I think on the other side of that, I wouldn't really have it any other way, because I we both can work independently, and we have. But it's something about the stakes when you're working together and the wins when you have that other person. Like, I know when there's a win, and sharing that with Brandon, it's just different than when I'm not with him, I guess I should say. But yeah, it's challenging for sure. I think the biggest thing is we had to settle in knowing our roles and knowing our place. Like, you know what, you're better at that than I am, and vice versa. Yeah.
What do you feel is the importance of women in this creative space, especially with directing. You know, we see the Ava DuVernays that are setting records, breaking down boundaries. But in the independent film world, I know there's more, but we're not hearing them. So where do you fit in? What changes do you hope to make? Like, just lay it out. Basically, speak for all women creators that in the director space.
Yeah, it's when you add Black on top of that, you add independent, then you add female on top of that, you're dealing with so much opposition, right? Even, within our own community, I'll just be honest, it's oftentimes that Brandon and I will walk into, let's say, a location, and that particular scene may be what I'm directing. But 9 times out of 10, who is that person going to go to? They're going to direct their questions to Brandon. They're going to assume that everything, as far as any kind of power, they're going to direct that to him. And so it is a challenge. Also, women directors, female directors, I'll just be honest, we're dealing with biology. So when we show up to set, it may be that time of the month. We may also be pregnant. There's so many different things, and we're expected to still rise to the occasion, and we do. But it is very, very challenging for sure. And I think the biggest thing is we just have to keep going. There needs to be more of us. There are a lot of us, but a lot of times we're met with so much opposition that sometimes people give up. They don't push through. But yes, I'm glad you mentioned Ava DuVernay, Gina Prince Bythewood, Debbie Allen. I mean, so many. Dee Reese, so many that have done really great work that have inspired me to keep going and do what I do because, it's a challenge, but I think there's many of us that are up for the challenge for sure.
When an audience sees our Blues Makers Gold, what do you want them to leave with? What do you want them to feel?
I want them to feel that their pain is that ingredient that's going to help them thrive. As Black people, we are, of course, met with just so many things, more challenges than, our white counterparts and so forth. But what I find in every, story about thriving, there was some pain in there that really, put some fire under their feet that, pushed them through and gave them that gas. And so that's really, and I have to credit Brandon for that title, that's really where that came from. Our blues make us gold. It's the, that blues, that pain, that strife, those challenges that we go through. That's what gives us that extra sauce, and that's why it can't be duplicated. When other cultures and communities are like, why are Black people, why they got that flavor? There's just the flavor that we have, but it really comes from that adversity. I feel that's one of the main ingredients, and the way that we're able to dance, and have joy, which we talked about, one of the themes of this film festival, having that joy in spite of that.
There's a quote when I was thinking of your movie and I was, preparing myself for this talk. There's this quote where it's like, white people can't pick up our rhythm, so how can they handle our blues? And I love the title and the way you've explained this film. What brings you joy? Right? What brings you joy now in this business that you've described as challenging and comes with all of these different challenges? What sparks joy for you as a creator?
Honestly, this is going to seem like a very basic answer, but conversations. I love when art sparks new conversations. And the conversations, that I've had at this film festival, when we screen at other places, people that come up to us saying, oh, my grandfather, went through that particular thing that you all showed in the film. That really brings me joy it makes me feel like, okay, I have a place in this world and, maybe a small corner. But that brings me joy. Preserving our history, especially in this day and time, that brings me joy, to know that we're preserving something that will live on and on and on for the next generation, the new generation like my children, who are now 3 and 5, and who will one day understand this film, and be able to say, wow, okay, I come from a long lineage of thrivers.
Your husband, Brandon, was absolutely correct when he said, Ashley Shanté Deese is the better half of the Deese powerhouse directing duo. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival.
Thank you for having us. And also, please stream the film on Amazon Prime Video, Our Blues Make Us Skull.